Hello, everyone, and welcome to Squad Ready, the April 24 edition, sponsored by your friendly local game store and Big Ramen. Try the new baby spice flavor to rock your world. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Quack, and I have taken the purple in Hodge's absence. I'm an editor at Snowcrows, and my focus is on builds that make the game more accessible, including beginner and open world build series. Yes, I edited the Catalyst build, and yes, it is indeed awesome and a ton of fun to play.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you just use accessible and catalyst in the same sentence?
No, those were different sentences. I focus on accessible builds, period.
And then there's also
did edit the Catalyst build, and it is a lot of fun to play. Not every build is for everybody. So our guest today, we have, let's just go around. We'll start with Dan.
So most people probably know me from Heal Tempest. I've been doing that for a few years now. But I also help a lot with other heal builds on Snowcrows. That's mainly where people know me from, probably.
And there's this fine gentleman, Mr. Muckluck.
Hello. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Muckluck Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire IV. I have a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel. I play a lot of different games, but most known for Guild Wars 2 guides, like the Get to the Point series, where I try to dumb down raid bosses as much as possible to make them easily digestible information for new people and things like that.
And the last friend joining us is Zargul.
Hi, I'm Zargul. I haven't been here in quite a while, but I'm back and ready to roll. I'm an editor for the Snowcrows website, and I enjoy playing Necro and everything else.
Necro? Yeah. Really? You don't say?
Yeah, I feel.
So first of all, some housekeeping. There may be spoilers on this stream, so be aware of that. And this is not your grandmother's stream. The language may be spicy, along with the opinions.
That actually sounds exactly like my grandmother's streams.
For those of you who are also wondering where the other editors are, Muck made a Deadeye video, and we had to keep Iskarel off the stream so that it didn't get derailed talking about Deadeye for an hour. And Umbra is currently visiting the Deep Umbra to delve the secrets of being really, really ridiculously good looking.
The heavens took him finally.
So first up, community news. We've got the changes to the Snowcrow website. So, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Dun, dun, dun. So we rearrange how the builds are done. And there's now the wonderful drop down to not only select raid builds, but open world builds, which took us many years to work on. Many months to work on.
The best April Fool's joke.
Yes, it is our April Fool's joke that we couldn't shake. The April Fool's joke actually being swapping when you click raid builds to go to open world, but that got really confusing really quick. So that got yeeted. And then let's jump back. So that is the changes to the Snowcrow website. From the studio, Super Adventure Box is back. Yay! There's no World 3 though. Sad. Oh, kitty.
Get come. Hold up. Intermission.
Intermission for cats. Always worth it.
All right, it's gone. Let's continue.
There's also a bunch of quality of life things that they've done. ANAT has done some graphics post-processing settings changes to make your life more customizable. The gobbler items have been reworked. Nom 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 nom.
I'm a big fan of that one. That one actually impacted me.
Yeah. So it just not being able to use them without having to have the mats on you. Just except for that brief period where the odds of candy corn were sad. And the last one, the most recent, the fashion inspect, quote unquote, quality of life. And then the very last thing is the working on expansion 5 and 6, the studio said. So, first up, that expansion, we had that splash image that I put up before there. They did this wonderful spoiler for expansion 5. And yeah, I don't know if anyone has any theories about where we're going next.
Theories flying everywhere. A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying Ascalon, right?
Yeah, it's got Guild Wars 1 Ascalon vibe.
Ascalon.
That was my guess as well. However, I will say I have a long history of being wrong every single time I've made guesses about expansion.
All right, so we know
So
for a
we can
fact
roll
it's
that
not
out.
Ascalon.
It's not Ascalon then. You got it.
Good to have confirmation on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sad that there's not going to be a underwater rework kind of expansion, but
Who knows? Expansion 6, come on.
I know, I can cross my fingers.
That'll be the year for Guild Wars 2.
Yes,
Yeah, together with Wing 8. Finally.
and
Yeah.
and SAB World 3 being complete. Mhm. No, I'm not going to hold
Alright.
my breath for that.
One day. All right,
One
let's.
day. So let's check about balance patches that we've missed. There's some stuff that happened in March and some stuff that happened in April. I'm going to pass to Dan and Zargul to go chat about those changes.
No one gets my name right every time. All right, I'm
Fix
gonna
it.
post.
Tell me you're right. Let's get it right.
It's Zargo.
Zargul.
Yeah. Or
Zargul.
something like that.
Or something like
It's
that.
been said so many
Hello,
times
something
wrong over
like
the
that.
years. I myself forgot how to pronounce it actually correctly. All right, I posted a link in chat to our beautiful March balance update preview on our website for the summary, which we'll go over right now. And yeah, we've had quite a few great changes, mainly for the likes of Thief, which gonna want some insane quality of life and buffs. And Power Hallsmith is now live. It exists. So let's touch on that.
It exists again.
Yeah, it was really sad when you're using the Condi design trait in the power build.
I must say, I'm not the best at playing engineer, so I might leave that to you when we get there. But yeah. Oh, there was also Renegade rework, which we haven't talked about. Umbra is not here today, so
Yeah, I've not gotten a chance to really play with the new Renegade, personally.
me neither.
I actually tried it on stream last night, and I think I made the guy that made your Renegade guide cry, because I was doing such an injustice to it.
That'd be Umbra.
Love to hear that. It's content.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, like I did the Dead Eye guide the other day that y'all had on stream, and then the person who is it Iskra was like so hyped that I tried it and that I had a good time, and then he like shouted it out, and then when I tried the Renegade, someone's like, hey, Muck's trying your Renegade, and he comes and he joins the stream, and then like 5 minutes later I was like, oh my god, I hate this. Like not like his work on the class, it's just like the class. I was like, I do not enjoy playing this.
I mean, it is a special class, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh well, you haven't liked either the Heal Herald either, right? The swapping of legends and stuff, not having access to them.
And that's a me thing. That's not like a problem with the class. That's just my own taste in what I enjoy. I don't like when a class has like tools that are perfect for a situation, but then you have to use them on a rotation. So then when that situation comes
Totally
up,
valid.
you may or may not have that tool accessible. So with Revenant, it feels like most Revenant builds, you're you got to swap legends on a rotation. You don't just like sit in Legend 1 and then go to Legend 2 in emergencies. You're swapping them constantly. So I was playing the Alacrigade build last night, and in Kala, you have way more CC than when you're in Demon because Dark Razor is just so strong. And so it's like if a break bar happened to come up and I wasn't in Kala, I literally had 1/4 the amount of crowd control. And it just, I said it felt bad. Yeah, stuff like that. You know, just getting caught into the wrong. It kind of felt like an elementalist, like if you're caught in the wrong element because you messed up. It felt like that.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot of classes that are like that too. Obviously, Druid can have that moment of whether you're ready for your CA or not. And everything, you know, it's just learning encounters goes a long way.
That do be right.
Let's see.
So even
other,
even though the patch was mostly PvP and World vs. World, there was some nice quality of life to, let's say, Tempest, since we have Dan here.
Yeah, they
comment on that?
increased the heal radius. So wash the pain away, 3 pulse heal. Normally it was 180 on the first, and then 240, and then 360.
180. That sounds.
Yeah, 180. Yeah, 180. That's a nice one, right? So now they increased it to 240, 360, 360. I think.
I
So
mean,
a lot
it's
more people
something.
are getting hit by the big heal because the first one was
Breadcrumbs,
180
right?
big heal.
What
Yeah,
other
180,
ability
so-
has 180?
Yeah, interesting how they
Dagger auto
increased. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
They increased the radius of a 180 skill, but then Fire Overload is still 180, preventing stop. and probably
Feels
hitting me.
great. Well, we can't have it
it's-
all.
Maybe they remember next patch. I've been saying for 2 years.
fix the fire overload radius, please.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Would be nice. Would be nice.
Right. What happened to Shortbow with Engineer? I don't remember, actually.
Don't even remember either.
Yeah, because
What a weapon, right?
I mean, it's
I know
a
they made
nice
quite
weapon.
they did a few nerfs to it in World v World, if memory serves.
there were, and they all. I think they also fixed.
Oh, wait, they
Never
fixed the Medkit 5, right? That's a big one.
Oh yeah, the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
burn
Yeah.
duration on Medkit 5 is like almost 100% now. So
Yeah.
It's more than
easier
100%.
for some of the heal builds
That's
to
great,
keep up vigor
actually.
and regen, even if they are not using the mace.
It's a 20% duration when you have 100% boon duration, and its base CD is 20, so it even overcaps. And that's why that's written down. Is because of the vigor and regen, which you were losing in the past. So by swapping off of mace, you would lose that. Now you can just freely do it, so you can use shortbow freely on heal NGs, which is nice. Gives
Amazing.
them some Aegis, give them protection, a lot of blasts, a lot of might, some nice CC. Not as much as mace, but at least they still have CC on their weapon.
Yeah, my main thing that I would love to see fixed on support engineer, and since we're talking about like short bow, that I guess now with the changes they just did, it can apply to scrapper or mech. Before it was kind of like a scrapper thing, but I would love to see them rework how support engineers give out protection. It feels really bad to me because like they pulse out protection when they use their shield skills, which is sacrificing your blocks. When they use their personal heal, so sacrificing the big heal, which is also an AoE heal around them. The Aegis skill also is part of the protection, so you can give up Aegis to keep protection up. And it's just like they've got all these tools, and you choose like, okay, I have to sacrifice 2 of the 3 of these to keep the prot up. And you compare that to Scourge, which just farts every 20 seconds and your prot's covered, and it's just like, it's not even close.
But I think it now has like Scrapper especially has so much protection currently that even if you hold your utility skills, as long as you use them in the fight somewhere, right?
Right.
You use them like every minute, you're still gonna have good protection. Because, for example, F1, there's not a lot of cases where you want to keep F1, right? Big self heal, okay. But that alone almost like permanently keeps up protection. So as long as you use shortbow 4 or function gyro, like anywhere, even if it's for their utility, you'll always get like their protection, and then it's fine.
Perhaps I should visit it again. Maybe the changes have happened since I last tried it. My main beef with that class the last time I tried it was that, and that the short bow. Which one makes the blue puddles? Is it the short bow 3?
The one where you don't see anything.
Yeah, the
for a
blue
few
puddles
seconds.
cover
Yeah.
red circles on the ground. Similar problem with the untamed fart clouds. The prot thing and the blue puddle thing was the main issues I had with it. Like aside from those, it's got a lot going for it, but just those two things bothered me.
Yeah, I think it's currently in a good place, like utility boon wise, especially Scrapper, because now it has Aegis.
Poor Mechanist players.
Poor Spectre players.
Oh,
So,
my heart. I love Spectre.
yeah,
Sure.
next quality of life is for them.
Right. Let's do Scar some justice and quickly mention the thief changes, because those were huge for the class.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what happened, they made it so the buffs you get from dodging on Daredevil, you no longer need to stay at the lowest possible endurance. You only need to have some missing.
Yeah, it got the Vindy
Any amount.
treatment.
Yeah.
Don't be full.
And this is like big for the class, right? Because previously, if you got endurance from your teammates, your damage would immediately go down until you dodged again for no reason. It would like ruin your rotation. But now it's like, oh, nice! I get to dodge more whenever I feel like it.
I can do
No longer
mechanics.
tied. right. I have a dodge now, like whenever I need it to actually dodge. That's great. So that's big. They also lowered the health thresholds on Keen Observer and Twin Fangs.
Yeah.
You no longer need to stay above 90% HP. So goodbye all the scholar, artifacts.
Yeah,
in the
the
game.
last bit of scholar modifiers we have. Gone.
Yeah.
Soon we
Rest in
won't
peace.
need to heal people above 50%. Easy.
Yeah, and then they changed Rich to 75. Good stuff. And also a raid. Oh, I have a video for this one. Thief now cleaves on rifle.
Mhm.
Was that always there? It's recent, right?
It pierces now, right?
Yeah, it did not pierce.
It
before.
pierces.
Of all the
That's-
things in the world, like rifle doesn't pierce. But only for thief.
Of course.
I have a great video. I'll plug this video in chat. This is Scourge doing. Go give him some likes and subscribes, of course. Duh. Its showcase is great. The showcase is the potential of Thief now, and it's amazing to look at what you can do with the rifle specifically now.
Yeah, it's just some great quality of life for them.
Mercy is getting extra charge. That's amazing quality of life.
Mercies.
It also doubles up its stun break. The stun break, it lets you reset your dead ice mark and gain initiative.
So a couple other things. We've got some chrono changes. They got their heal skill pulled back a little bit. They don't get to double dip on their mantras anymore, or that one mantra. And the other nerf that happened was we've got ranger maces. We're a little overtuned.
I am not at all surprised that they did that. Because, like, the mace basically replaced an axe. An axe had no healing on it. So we went from like, the healing we had before to just a straight increase. Like,
And you
unequivocally.
gain damage.
Yeah, and it made boon up time easier, but also there was just a burst of healing every like 6 seconds that was not there before. So, and Druid was already in a very good spot, and then it just got that icing on the cake.
Maces, I mean, it's still like they didn't do anything to Druid really. Now Druid
Druid is still
doesn't
fine.
have to give a shit about like pet swapping. Pets are just free. No.
Vigor just exists. Protection just
Yeah.
happens.
It's fine.
Yep.
Pets are free again after.
Yeah, I mean, the pet swapping back
months?
in July, I think that's when it was really rough. That's when I kind of stopped
Yeah.
wanting to try Druid.
I remember
Just-
Mug had feelings about that
Yeah.
when they first reworked it.
Yeah, because whenever you do a pet swap on Ranger, your pet loses all its boons because the new one coming out doesn't have anything on it. So and again, this is personal, and I feel the need to stress this. This is personal enjoyment. This is not saying that Druid's bad in any
This
way.
is now the official Snowcrows opinion.
Exactly. Some people are like, oh, I don't play this build before because Muckluck said it's bad. No, shut up. I didn't say that. Yeah, the pet swapping thing, I dislike it because it dumps all their boons, resets them back to 0, and then they got to build those back up again. And so I'm the kind of player that I enjoy having one pet that's kind of the baseline one, and then the other one is situational. Like maybe it's a big CC like Electric Wyvern, or it's the projectile hate like from the Turtle Bubble. Like I like having those in the back pocket and then on demand when I need them. So I personally don't like having them just swapping on a rotation. And yeah, there was like less than a year ago, they really started pushing what was it, Spirited Arrival and Invigorating Bond that just really promoted pet swapping to keep your boons up. And I still a Druid main, but I was like, really?
Yeah. But now Druid is free again to just flex on all the lesser healers.
Druid is and has been
Of
eating
course.
good for years.
Druid is not allowed to be sub.
Then I think, let's see, we've got the non-hollow NG sword bug fix has gone through, and Jade protocol changes.
Well, let's talk about that. That's relevant to our open world builds now.
Open world change.
So what happened for everyone? A quick recap. So Jade protocols, they give you a ton of stats. If you have them, you get them in End of Dragons expansion. You need whatever, blah, 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 details. Point is, when you entered combat, you'd get a ton of boons, right? And this had a 30-second cooldown if you had one of the Jade protocols. If you had both of them, it was kind of bugged. Maybe a feature, who knows, can't tell. But it had no internal cooldown, so you could pop into an out of combat in a matter of seconds and like stack all boons to infinity for like half a minute. And it was extremely powerful. Like Jade protocols would like double or triple your clearing speed of the open world enemies, because you could have gone like full DPS build and just nuke everything with full boons all the time. What they have done is not only have they fixed the no internal cooldown bug, they also increased the internal cooldown to 1.5 minutes. From nothing to 1.5 minutes. And mind you, the boons don't last forever. So you now don't always have all boons. You just get a burst of them every once in a while when you start a new combat, which is an insane change. What are your feelings about that?
Kind of reminds me of, was it the old Rune of the Fireworks before Relics came out that just gave you like a burst of boons when you attacked, but it had a cooldown? It reminds me of that because it wasn't
runes going
pack. That was pack runes, right?
Pack runes, man.
Was that pack?
Yeah.
But yeah, the end result was it wasn't reliable that this was something you had all the time. It was just like if you were in World v World or PvP, you occasionally got like a burst of, like a spike damage or something when that went off. Kind of like the end result of this reminds me of that.
Yeah, it just makes like giving yourself boons more important again. Because you can't rely on Jades anymore.
Isn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's nice.
So right, it's a huge nerf for the protocols themselves, but you still get like 600 stats, which is still big, and you just get a bit more boons from your build and you're good to go. So they're still worth getting, and plus there's the quality of life that you can get them faster and they last longer. So that's nice to balance that out. But 90 seconds is a lot.
I feel like that they really don't want masteries to be that powerful. Like, if you think
That's a good
back
point. It could be
on
that.
like masteries from previous major content releases and expansions and stuff like that that we still use today, it's few of them, right? Like in open world, you might put down like the table that you get the EMP from or something like that. But like I remember Heal Zuka used to be like really good in the Cold War Strike, and then they were like, oh no, this is too good, and they just took it away. Like Heal Zuka came out with the Cold War Strike, and you can no longer use it in the Cold War Strike. They completely removed it.
I don't know what that is. So not the Cold War strike, of
The
course.
Heal Zuka.
But yeah, never heard of
So
that.
when you use the table that you get the EMP from that people commonly put down in open world.
All right, you can get other things that
Right.
EMP.
One of the
Yeah.
other things is called Heal
The
Zuka.
non-EMPs that
Yeah.
exist.
So Heal Zuka, it launches you in the air, and then you deploy a parachute, and you're looking down over the field, and you literally have a bazooka, and it does a massive amount of healing and boons every time you fire it straight
That was
down.
really cool and
So
cinematic.
you can, it's really good on in Drizzlewood Coast at the end of the meta, and you're fighting the Claw of Jormag that's like buried in the rubble, and he's constantly doing knockbacks and knocking people away. You could just be above the fight, and you're immune to all of that, and you're just bombarding the area with healing and stuff like that. But that's an example of something that they really just nerfed into the ground because they were like, oh, well, we don't want masteries to be that good. And this kind of feels like similar treatment.
Well, especially as more content comes out, then there's more fancy, shiny new toys. How do you make sure that the newest toy is the fanciest one? Well, let's
relevant at
take
all.
back that other one. Yeah. Like everyone was like, oh, this sky scales, new abilities if you have both tracks. Was that worth it? Was that worth grinding to get the other sky scale? Probably not.
I wonder if I'll ever get the other sky scale. I might just never do it.
It's funny.
There's not enough incentive.
When Soto came out, I made a guide that was like, how to get the Soto sky scale, and the clickbait title was something like "How to get your sky scale the easy way," and the whole comment section is just like, "This is the easy way."
Technically, you're not doing like
I did it like
collection
one
quests.
day. Honestly, it was really easy. I mean, at least when I have the currencies and money. But yeah, I looked up Muckluck's guide on the real way. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll just live with the Griffin and all the other mounts. I played for years without Sky Scale. I was like, I enjoy my mounts. They're special. They have a place. I can use all of them.
See, I still don't actually have a flying mount, and I joke around that my Jackal is my flying mount.
Really?
Yeah.
And you do the.
I do everything with Jackal and Bunny.
You can do the skimmer hover thing when you like fly, but you actually just glide further.
No, actual Jackal. Just Jackal, and then like, what is it? Bond of
Faith.
And then just keep going. Just keep
Eat
going.
yourself.
Yeah. Catch up with flying mounts.
Look, Mom, I can fly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's transition into open world builds and open world in general, because that is what Snowcrows launched on April 1st. Not a joke. They're here to stay. And the biggest thing that we immediately got was a why no Selly. So who wants to go first with this? Why are we not encouraging people to run around in full Selly all the time?
Dan, go ahead. You have feelings. I can see it.
Well, I don't know. I'm from the raid side of Snowcrows. This is more like
exactly.
there were a lot of people questioning like, where's Sally? Right? So it's like,
By Sally we mean Celestial.
why?
In chat,
Yeah.
okay.
Why Celestial?
Just in
Why
case.
are we not
Oh,
using
yeah.
Celestial stats on like every build? Right?
All the YouTubers do it. Why don't we
so,
do
like,
it?
Why don't we do it? Right?
Well, and again, there's a balance of when you're trying to do damage and get a kill, and you can run Sally, and it's fine. Celestial gear will get you that kill.
But realistically, do you need it? Well, like 90% of the time, do you actually need to have 30k health and 2k toughness?
And that's what it comes down to. You can spend 3 minutes killing an elite. You'll get the kill. But you
Right, it's
also can
guaranteed.
kill an elite in 45 seconds if you want to go and scale yourself towards the damage. So there's kind of like a balance, and we don't want to just present to you, okay, here's how to stand around and auto attack a legendary or something, and congratulations, don't stand in the bad, and 5 minutes later you get a bounty kill. Instead,
so I'll take the other side of this to bounce off of you here. So I have not looked at your open world builds. That's just not something I've been working on. So if you're saying that you're promoting, you just get as much damage as possible, what makes your open world builds any different than your raid builds?
We are getting the survivability elsewhere. We prioritize getting survivability through traits and skills and smart gameplay rather than in gear. Unless the gear really makes sense. For example, like Scourge currently runs Celestial. Not full Celestial, mind you, but a lot of it. And some other builds will as well, or might as well already, to introduce some sort of balance, because the fact is on some builds, Celestial really does make sense. It's great, it's amazing, it works perfect. On other builds, it not so much. There's no point playing power builds in full Celestial because they gain very little out of it.
It also goes to the boons that you can self-generate if you're running around in solo. If you can give yourself protection uptime, like, do you really need to also have 1600 toughness from full Celestials? If you can have the damage reduction, or if you can have high regen uptime, or again, just stacks and stacks of might and fury so you can kill the thing that's trying to kill you faster and not have to deal with the mechanics.
Yep.
And I think that's... I'll go over it, Zarg.
Yeah, we're not strictly against Celestial. We are willing to include it where it does make a lot of sense. But reality is, on like most builds, like, look, this build is not gonna be good at soloing legendaries anyway. And there's no point to ruin your performance in 90% of the content just so you can do that 1% alone instead of having to tag up or slash mentor, right? So this is a power build. This is built just for nuking meta events and doing quick killing ads. There's little reason to attack on survivability onto it and play Celestial with 1600 toughness, when in reality, even if you have full Celestial, you might still struggle to do the group content alone. So let's be real, right? Just don't take the build there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Feelings about that?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was, Dan looked like there was a moment there.
You all look like you actually want to say something.
Yeah, so I have some thoughts on that. So, like, okay, I spend a lot of time talking to, like, newbie noobs, people just coming into the game, and they're asking how to get started on stuff. Celestial is good for if they do not yet know what they want to play. They're bouncing builds a lot, they're bouncing classes a lot, they haven't even committed to power or condition damage. I often recommend be like, hey, Celestial is just a good amount of all stats. It's not great at any one thing.
I do agree with that.
It's good at everything. You might try this armor set, and then while you keep changing your mind, you'll always have something that's okay. I recommend it a lot in that situation.
Me as well, actually. Yeah.
I also was thinking, you said like 3 minutes to kill an elite. I don't know what the exact time is. I know I chat with Lord Hyson a lot, who does a lot of open world stuff. He's got videos of him killing legendaries in Selly gear in like 2 to 4 minutes. So I might. You mentioned I saw you making a face. I might have been like, wait, are you sure about those numbers when you mentioned the 3 minute to kill?
I think that's just probably random.
Yeah. So then that might have been why I scrunched up my nose there. I do think that, like, if someone is trying to just like kill stuff as fast as possible in open world, I usually would say like, okay, it depends how chill you want to be about it. It sounds like your recommendations are for people that are very focused on what they're doing. You know, they're not watching YouTube on another monitor or something like that. They're paying attention. They're moving out of red circles, stuff like that. In which case, yeah, I 100% agree with you. If they're looking for like a more chill experience in open world, I think Selly is nice because it gives them a fallback if they make mistakes.
I think it's a big problem in general. People look at what's posted on whatever website, Snowcrows or who knows what, and they're like, "Oh, this is the holy grail. We cannot deviate at all from the way that it has been presented to us. There's no way this utility can get swapped out, or I can add celestial or get toughness from something
We
else."
encourage you to change whatever you deem appropriate. Like, change anything. If this is just a template, it's a blueprint of what makes sense, kind of, to put together. Go ahead and go wild. Make any changes you like adjust it to your playstyle specifically.
And what you need, right? We have taken a lot of time, crunched a lot of numbers to figure out and play tested what is literally the most optimal, right?
Yeah,
And
to some
that's not for
degree.
everyone. Catalyst, again, I love it. The open world Catalyst build. It is hella fun. But it's not for everyone. Spoiler alert. There's a lot of APM. It's
not easy to
knowing
play
what you're
at all.
fighting. You can take a hit, but you probably can't take the second one. And again, it's a different play style. I
And-
love it.
But hey, yeah, right. So, but we present it to people and say this works. If it doesn't work for you, try to look like what you could be doing. Like here you have 5 different skills that you can take to increase your survivability, and if you need that, go ahead and try this. See if shield works for you, if it is easier to play then, or if it gives you some leeway to not get a one shot. And yeah, this promotes like thinking and adjusting, not like defaulting to let's just run the most survivability I can everywhere. And I think I find that more fun personally, living just little on the edge. So like I would take personally Power Reaper everywhere in the open world and just like pick the slide and change it up and down and how much healing I actually need, and like try to squeeze as much damage as I can out of it. But once in a while you just run into an enemy and you die, and I'm like, I can learn from that. Let's try to adjust the build and see if I can do it again. And sure, that loses me time, but
This guy dies on Reaper and you have him writing guides? Are you sure about that?
that was a
They've got
hypothetical
2 hit point
scenario.
bars.
2 of them.
Big chunky ones.
But right, yeah. You go solo legendary bounty, and you're probably not gonna try to do it on Power Reaper specifically. You might, sure. I've been there, but yeah, I would go and okay, I am at the limit of this specific build. I'm not gonna go and take Sally to Power Reaper. I'll switch to Condi Reaper or Condi Scourge or a different class entirely, because that's where they shine. But I wouldn't be playing the build that shines on the legendary bounty everywhere else, because then killing story missions would take hours. Instead of just Reaper goes and like, bam, dead. Next, and just rushes through it. That could be my personal point of view, of course, but that's how I feel about that.
You know, I had an experience with something on this topic back when I was like, nobody knew me. I was like, I was trying out streaming. I had like maybe 5 viewers, and I remember I was going through a chunk of the story in Sandswept Isles. And when I was like, oh wow, Rangers, I was coming back to the game. I was like, wow, Rangers can become druids. They can become healers now. So I put together a healing set of gear. It was my only set of gear because I was, newish. And so I was doing the story, and some guy popped into my chat, and he's like, hey, you've been fighting this boss like 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, he's got a lot of health. And he's like, no, you don't understand. If you have the right stats, this is like a 2-minute fight. He's like, you've been here like 10 minutes. And I was just like, and that was the day I was like, I need another set of gear.
I remember, I think it was also Ranger. I don't know if it was my alt account or where, but I made a Ranger. I got the entirety of the Ascended Healing tank gear on it before I even got the hero points to play Druid. So I was like playing like Core Power Ranger or Condi Ranger or something with just full tank healer gear. And I was trying to do hero points on that, and it was
I bet your
painful.
healing spring was saving many lives.
Definitely. Sure thing. No, I called a friend and told him to kill it for me while I heal him.
He got promoted to pet.
I got my
Got that
personal
mentor tag. Please, I'll keep you alive. Kill this thing for me.
It's true. Yeah, but that's it. Any counter arguments? Any feelings? We can talk about this a lot. I enjoy that.
No? All right. Let's go
let's
back to
see what
something
the chat
I
thinks.
missed first.
Is
we
someone
didn't
raging in
talk-
the chat? No.
Oh, is there?
There
I
was
don't
a,
think so.
a question about which open worlds builds do we favor ourselves when we play open world.
Oh, right. Yeah, I already said Power Reaper, just straight ahead. Get it out there. You go next.
For me, I think it depends on what I'm currently feeling. I will definitely be found doing unload Dead Eyes when I'm just exhausted and want to get some clear, especially in a big group meta. But
Valid.
It's called
I
PP
often-
Unload. Please say the whole thing.
Sorry, PP unload. I like to unload my PP over and over again. On repeat.
All right, this is going on. Context. This means pistol, all right? If this goes onto Muckluck's YouTube.
Oh no! Muckluck's gonna do the meta watch later. It's gonna be hilarious.
All right. Yeah.
Next
But
video,
otherwise-
Catalyst sucks. Let me count the ways.
Otherwise, I like doing things that are spicy. I really like running around with the hollow, or again the catalyst. Just I want something that's challenging a lot of the time to be focused because I don't want something on my other monitor. I'm here to play the game.
In terms
Dan,
of
what do
open
you think?
world, if I'm in with
Oh.
near a huge group of people, I actually like swapping one of my heal builds and giving them boons and stuff like that. But if I'm like on my own, I've really taken a liking to Hammer Scrapper and just doing Electro Whirl through a
Bonk.
bunch of enemies and getting a bunch of barrier and just feeling like I will not die. Feels great.
If you're ever in open world, Dan, what's it gonna be?
It's always been Power Tempest. Because
Interesting.
yeah,
That's
I don't know why.
It's a
It's
unique
just,
choice.
yeah, let's go Power Tempest. This one is already in open world part somewhere, because ANET forced me to do meta events for my relics. So yeah, it's usually just like Power Tempest.
So you just take
with
your main.
water trait line. I
yeah.
think it's like the old
Oh.
school Power Tempest when fire didn't get its buffs. So I just play
Interesting.
that, and it's like, yeah.
Just works,
If I
right?
die, it's my own fault, I guess. Just
Just don't.
yeah, just don't die, right? Just kill the boss, don't die. Every boss is easy. No, but a lot of metas just come down to like what I've seen. It's just, hey, there's other people, so even if I go down, they'll res me. Doesn't matter.
As long as you're having fun, right? That's what we try to optimize.
As long as I'm
actually.
getting the currency to get my relics, it's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
We're getting. At least we're getting fun.
That's my
Getting
open
your
world
loot.
experience.
All right, let's go back real quick because I forgot to mention the Fashion Inspect that is back. And
I see.
yes, it is. It's definitely a very spicy in part of the community. It's one of those changes that came. It's a quality of life improvement because you needed to be able to see the dyes that people use. For
Muckluck is
your
laughing
life.
already. All right, shoot, go ahead. Just get it out of the way.
Had to have hundreds
So many
of this
conversations.
conversation in YouTube comments and stuff like that when I'm streaming. Yeah, I've got opinions. I've got opinions.
All right, I've got the tea.
All right, so the
August
fashion
comfy.
inspect thing. You know, I came from other MMOs. For those who don't know, I played a lot of MMOs, but most notably, I did like 10 years of WoW and 7 years of EverQuest before this. And you could inspect in those, and like everything inspect. It wasn't a big deal. So this game just got fashion inspect, and a lot of people are. There's a group of people that think that people are going to copy their hard-earned fashion. And they're very passionate about that, and that's fine. You know, I recognize it's not an activity I'm passionate about, but I recognize that they are. That's cool. Power to you. You know, it's like me looking at someone who collects stamps. It's not hurting me. That's fine. But the fact that they're like, oh no, I don't like that everyone got this quality of life update. Take it away from them, and they're like wagging their finger at it. I'm just like, all right, now you're being ridiculous. You know, now you're being ridiculous, and it really seems to come down to they think that people are going to want to copy them. And man, I wish I had that much ego. It's like I've played this game like 8,000 hours according to my /played, and I don't think I've ever seen somebody that I wanted to copy. Most max level people look like a light bulb. You know, it looks like they're just going to
Fashion. What do you?
God.
And now
Or
I
occasionally
have
when
been
you
like, oh,
see
where does that
someone
hat come
cosplaying
from?
Muck,
Huh?
the occasional Muckluck cosplay.
Yeah,
that you
dude,
run
and
into
I'm
in the
someone who's
world.
got 20 clones of me running around. There's one guy who actually has my name, and obviously not the account name, but it has my character name, who looks like me, who acts like an ass in PvP all the time. And I have to constantly be like, no, that wasn't me who cussed you out last Friday. I have to deal with that all the time. So it's like, yeah, identity theft, okay, we'll talk. This is nothing.
Yeah, but it is different people play this game for different reasons. It's like I do not touch PvP. I have no idea what's going on. When there's a change in PvP, I go, what? But there are people who fashion wars and being invested in their character is important to them. And again, like you said, more power to them. They should be able to celebrate that they've spent a lot of time working on that character. And I can understand why they'd be upset that the piece of their identity might be stripped from them.
I get that. I've had a lot of them be like, and I've seen this in comments a lot. It's like, oh well, if you would just ask, I would tell you. And it's like, if you truly believe that, then you should have no problem with people just seeing it. And the way they are acting, like, okay, you know the whole thing with like, you know, AI art stealing from artists. I feel like they are acting the way that those artists are, as if they think that they drew all the armor in Guild Wars 2 and made the assets by hand themselves. Like that is the energy I feel like they're throwing into this. And it's like, no, dude, he's asking what shoe store you got your shoes from. He still has to travel there and pay for the shoes, but you're not even willing to tell him where the store is. Like, come on, that's silly.
Yep. For
Just
me,
my opinion.
Disclaimer.
What do you got, Dan?
From the fashion I've seen, from me inspecting people, I think this week, just throughout the week, they were all bad fashion. So they were all light bulbs. So yeah, no big opinions on it, honestly. I still think a lot of people have light bulbs running around. Reeds are always interesting fashion.
I've seen some
So
really funny
I
jokes
don't.
out of it too.
I've had recommendations, seen recommendations of like this kills the game, and it's like okay. Someone else.
I love the invisible boot. Pretending you have the invisible boots. Fake fashion.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
people can steal my fashion.
There was one I saw that was like, I was like, oh, you want to join my group? I want to know your build. I want to know what boons you provide. I want your KP.me, and I want to know where you got your hat.
No, people can steal my fashion. Most of the time, it's just like silvery cultural armor, anyways. So
yeah, if you look
think they
bad,
can
go ahead. I mean, for me, I don't do fashion too much. Do it once and then forget about it. Slap on a Mad King Mad King costume, done. Right, but
not the
otherwise,
costumes. Come on.
It's quality of life. It takes out the middleman, the effort of you doing a screenshot and going on Discord, Reddit, asking Rumpo, like, hey, what's this? and the dude looks at it and like 20 seconds writes all of the gear down for you. Like, yeah, thanks, I got it.
Oh, another
There are
argument on that I
people-
saw was people saying, "Oh, this isn't fair. I worked so hard on this. Now people will be able to copy my appearance in one click."
Just use your eyes.
And it's well, my argument on that is like, did you obtain all of that equipment in one click? Like I might be wearing something like, one item like my hat's from the gym store, my gloves are legendary gloves from raids, my boots are obsidian boots, my coat's like 20 silver on the TP. But the point is, it's like they still have to obtain all this stuff. And that might take days or weeks depending on what they copy. If you got the scythe from Doom, they're not just, oh, let me just get my scythe from Doom, just bend over and pull this out. As I always had one of those in my back pocket. Like, it's not going to be like that.
Or that insane die that's like 200 gold or something like that on a trading post.
The whitest white.
Like,
Oh no,
Like me
no.
at the beach.
What is it? The one abyss die
Relatable.
everyone uses.
There's a few abyss dice because like abyssal forest is like the black green and there's like a bunch of abyssal other ones.
yeah.
I
There's-
used
yeah,
the
there are
off-brand
more of them.
ones.
I've seen too much abyss from inspecting people.
Shadow
It's
Abyss.
the abyss.
It's abyss and it's the very neon one. What are they called?
Dan,
Shadow
I'm
Abyss
copying
one,
your
no
caption
idea.
right now and pouring abyss all over it. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
I mean, as long as there's no like a button that like one click copy in the fashion inspect, I think we're fine, right?
Zarg, I joked
think-
about that exact thing in one of my videos, and I got torn apart. I was like, the next time someone comes at me and they're like, don't copy me, I'm just going to morph into a shorter version of them and be like, don't copy me. There's just one click. I'm gonna get someone at Blish to
Oh,
make me an
wait.
add-on that just copies everything instantly.
Oh god, please don't
I
make
think I've
that push
seen
mod.
that.
Please don't make
I'm
that
not,
push
I'm
mod.
not. For legal reasons, that was a joke.
Oh, I know.
All right,
Oh.
we're fine.
Shudders. All right,
Let me check. Are we
let's
still
move on.
partnered? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we haven't lost that yet. Whew. So let's go back. Muck, let's talk about you a little bit. You just started a new series about going through all of the boon supports, but you also wrapped up one that we've got some other druid heal friends here, especially Dan, who's got some choice opinions, I think, about your last series. So why don't you give us a bit of an overview? What did you just wrap up?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I recently did a video series, and I'm constantly having to correct people that it wasn't guides. It was just kind of like my experience, right? Like I'd be like, oh, I want to try every defensive healer in the game. So I spent one session, like 5 hours, playing Heal Tempest, and it's my first 5 hours on it, so I'm going to be bad at all of these. And then I spent 5 hours on Healbrand, 5 hours on Heal Chrono, yada, yada, yada. And then I just shared my experience. Like, oh, I feel like this was very easy to learn. This one's very easy to gear. This one's a bit more challenging to gear. Stuff like that. Stuff that I thought that new players might appreciate hearing. Like, oh, I found this really difficult to do, but I cut that part out of the rotation. It was still serviceable, and I was able to do the job. But if you master this, you would want to pick this skill up later on if you're able to do so. Stuff like that. So I did that for the defensive supports, and I just recently started on the offensive supports. And I finished like 5 right now, but only one of the videos is done, which was the quick Deadeye that I did the other day.
All right, Dan, are we going to you first?
Yeah, it was interesting seeing like your point on learning the healers. Like there was I found like one thing I instantly saw that was like that stood out to me. Because I watched like the overview video first of like you talking about all of them and the experience with all of them. Was the trouble with learning Heal Herald. Because Heal Herald in my head
Yeah,
is a
right?
very easy, like, just
Yes.
put on your facets, go away from the keyboard, come back, and then swap legends and do it again. Like, that was
Right.
very interesting seeing, like, you struggle with learning Herald.
I was
and
kind of
putting it up.
surprised by
It's
that
very
too,
difficult.
because like obviously turning on the facets and putting out those boons, that's so easy. But
Just
then
exists,
it's
yeah.
like when you also, it's like there were moments. So it's like, oh, I need to use my staff 5 to do a big interrupt. Oh, I don't have enough energy. Oh, I want to
Yeah,
use
it
the
doesn't-
bubble to block projectiles, but I just left Centaur. I can't go back into Centaur. there was so many moments that I was in the wrong mode, or I didn't have the energy to do my CC or my stun break or my heal, and I'm like, what? Why does every button have extra requirements now? And as someone who doesn't usually play Revenant at all, that was like a whole nother layer of minor complexity slapped on top of everything. Because it wasn't just like, oh, is the button ready to go? It's like, is the button ready to go? Am I in the right weapon set? Am I in the right legend set? Do I have enough energy? It was all of that.
Yeah, it doesn't react to it's not like reactional gameplay as much as other healers.
Yeah, and then in terms of just like the number of tooltips I had to learn, you've got your 5 weapon skills, your 5 second weapon skills, your 5 legend skills, your 5 second legend skills, and then all the facets flip over, and that was 5 more buttons. So there's actually 25 buttons, which is actually the same number as an elementalist. And then you also had the energy system on top of that. So yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. Obviously, just AFK pulsing boons, super easy. I use my Herald for my home instance every day because it has permanent quickness. But actually playing it in a fight, I definitely felt like it required me to learn more than even when I tried Tempest out. Not that I was perfect at either one. I think it's important to mention, but just how I felt.
All right, I go ahead.
Maybe we have to ping Umbra to update like the rotation video on the Heal Herald page.
True.
Because there is like a way of playing Heal Herald where you just camp Glint until you need something.
Umbra's in
Like
chat.
you need utility,
not doing
and it's
anything.
like, oh yeah, I'm now swapping off, and I get on Ventari, I have enough energy.
Umbra says he does not condone this behavior.
I know he doesn't. But that's like a way, like, just use it whenever. And then if you want to be like more active in doing Herald, it's like just swap off cooldown on your legends.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy that you can use. And just knowing like which facets on Glint to press, because there are trait variations where you literally just press the same 3. And then you just let them. And it's like perfectly 6 pips, don't do anything, and use the energy for something else, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know it has a very impressive toolbox. Like a good Herald player is something I'd love to have as a teammate. It's just something I'm not sure is for me. That's it.
I'll
It's true.
segue. Go ahead. You have thoughts before I derail?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's true of a lot of the healers where they have some things that you need to pay attention to from a cooldown perspective because they give a lot of boons or a lot of heals, and knowing the encounter, and it's hard being the healer. And people don't always give healers the love they deserve for the extra amount of skill they need to have, as well as just knowledge. Because you're right, if you time a bad legend swap and you're stuck where you don't need to be, like if I don't have enough energy when hand kiting and I can't use my shield 5, well, if I can't swap legend because I screwed up, I need to know what I'm doing. And hand cutting's super easy, so it's a bad example. But
give us more love, all right, players.
Yeah, it was
there's
very
3
much a
heal
plan
mains
ahead
here.
gameplay. Like you need to know what's happening in the next 10 seconds, and then like be ready for that with those clicks. Whereas like some other healers might be more reactionary, where even if they did not know the fight perfectly, if something happens, they might just have that on-demand button to fix the situation. Just different class.
I mean,
You
that's
said
also, like-
something. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I'm changing the topic completely.
Okay. I was about to do the same. I was gonna move to like.
All right, let's see our topic first then.
Because it's the same. It's kind of the same issue Tempest has. Like learning Tempest. As the person who does Heal Tempest on Snowcrows, I still don't recommend Heal Tempest to people. Because
This class is great. Don't play.
this is the clickbait. This is the clickbait. So yeah, because Tempest has a lot of utility in places that aren't obvious at all, right?
That's my point exactly.
Yeah, Tempest has 2 trait lines locked in, and it's Water and Tempest. And then the third one is
it Arcane or Earth, I think?
It's Arcane, it's Fire, it's Air, it's even Earth, but Earth, I haven't ever found a very good use of it. In the past there was on Cairn, when you didn't have Eye of the Storm having Stab. But now it's a bit like, it's a mediocre trait line for a sport. But it's like, it has 3 trait line swaps, it has all these main hand weapon swaps, it has like a full utility bar that's open. Like if you look at Snowcrows, at Snowcrow side, like there's utilities open for just all its utility slots, right? You can plop in whatever you want. And it's like, it's so much stuff, but you get it from like so many places that it's very confusing for newer players to like find what they want. Right? I want a big CC. Like, who in their right mind goes to like Icebow? Like that's like who thinks Icebow? That's my CC skill, but it is like, it's weird. Like your conjurers are big CC skills, Lightning Hammer as well. It's like that's like a problem that I also noticed when you were talking about like Tempest, where that like it's not obvious at all where all the utility come from, because Tempest has a lot of utility. Like we always joke around that Tempest is just Druid, but red, and it can't push on SH.
Like yeah, I mean, it's of course Tempest. Got some differences. Like, just one example off the top of my head, Rebound. Rebound, I feel like is
that's an interesting one.
If you were to compare that to like Glyph of the Stars, Rebound takes way more skill to use, and I full recognize that. You know, because it's like if you do it early, it does nothing. If you do it late, everyone's dead. Glyph of the Stars, you do it early, it might save them. You do it late, it still will save everyone. You know, so it's like Rebound is like Glyph of the Stars for people with a wrinklier brain. So it's like when I was I remember the evening I tried Heal Tempest out. I did not trust myself with Rebound, so I ended up using the big healing elemental just to help me keep people up, and I just tried to not let them go down in the first place.
The funny thing is that people, like a lot of people default to Rebound, but Rebound is a very situational tool. And Water Elemental is an insane heal, like you also said in your video. Like, it doesn't have a cast time, doesn't interrupt anything of yours. Like, low cooldown, massive heal.
Yes, he's Rebound.
Not mad at me. Yeah. It's like, you picked the right utility. Maybe not for quite the right reasons, but like, Elemental is great.
And I know as a raid leader, the situational only fight I see people using Rebound on consistently is the air gen.
Yeah, severe.
I've dropped it. I don't use it there. I take Water Elemental. The fights I use Rebound on are CA, Deimos, and Doom. Because CA, you can completely negate someone screwing up the shields, or DPS check being too low. You just shield the beam and then, oh no, we're gonna Rebound. Completely negate wipes, and that's happened way too many times that now when I pug, I'm scared of swapping away from Tempest. On CA specifically. On Doom, it's just like people exploding bombs, so you have to be very attentive on like, is the bomb not going out? Okay, maybe Rebound, and then half your squad is dead, but you can res them easily, right?
I actually legit find that really cool. I've never considered using Rebound as an answer for a bad CA beam. I like that.
Yeah, it's one of like the, because how I look at the healers is like, what can they do more than someone else? And it's always like Rebound in those weird cases where it's like, yes, this is actually a good thing. It's like the same on Deimos, like Rebound for Mind Crush, for example, right? Black triggers, nobody can go into the bubble. Or like black triggers right before you have to go into bubble. That's even like worse, right? Normally you think, I'll just Aegis it. But there's like other sources that can trigger your Aegis. Rebound just completely ignores it. It's like you didn't die, you still have rebound. That goes off, and that can save like a mind crush.
Question from a Tempest noob: if your rebound saves someone, did they like? Okay, you know if someone goes down state and then they revive, they lose all their boons. If rebound saves someone, do they keep their boons?
Yeah, it's like AD on NG.
Cool.
They
okay.
don't lose anything.
I learned something new today.
If if AD works on something, rebounds works the same. It's like the complete same mechanic. But yeah, it's like all these non-obvious things, right? Because I'm talking about rebounds specifically, but it's very confirming to see that like it's still the case that Heal Tempest is very confusing to people, especially if they want like utility. Because yeah, because Heal Tempest started at like we have this difficulty like level on the Snowcrows builds. It started really low and now it's really high because every time I I talk to like new Heal Tempest players, it's like, yeah, I don't understand this, or there's like some obvious stuff, and it's like, okay, I'll up the difficulty because maybe it isn't as easy as I thought it was when I learned it.
All right, I hear you. So they. All right, so it's your fault. It's so difficult. All right.
Yeah. It's me trying weird stuff on Tempest that makes it difficult. Yeah. No, it's just like a very non-obvious class, I think, to play.
I
Your
think,
video
as you said
did that.
before, not recommended it to people because it's the chrono problem. Why would you recommend someone play Heal Tempest? Well, there's this other thing called chrono, or Druid.
Yeah, Druid in this
or
case.
why
Yeah.
play this? Or when there's something else that's just does it either better or easier. It's really hard to say, like, I love Spectre. I love Heal Spectre. I want to play more of it. But it just doesn't feel good. Like, why would I do that? Like, in my static, it's great. Other people that are there all the time that we can work together and know, but I don't want to even think about trying to plug on a Heal Spectre. It's just it's gonna be griefing someone, whether everyone's gonna grief me or I'm gonna grieve them. I'm not sure, but there will be
Speaking
griefing.
of, yeah, the segue I had prepared. Maklak was talking about tooltips and how he had to read all of them. I was like immediately, Spectre.
Oh,
So how
I
do you
remember
feel
like
about
yelling at this
Spectre?
guy because the Spectre Heal Spectre Scepter, when you mouse over it, the tooltip just went off and the top of my screen and off the bottom of my screen. I couldn't even see the name of the skill. I needed the wiki. So I had to go to the wiki and look for.
Yep.
And I did. A lot of people are like, oh, just change your entire UI and resolution and it'll resize it. I'm like, muck you, I'm not doing that. So I had to go to the wiki and look up like Thief and then Scepter, and then I was able to read it there.
What a great build. How do you feel about ally targeting?
Remove it.
All right.
I think it's okay if the class can completely be ally targeting. Like in just how Guild Wars 2 feels. For example, let's say the Spectre was constantly targeting allies, but Rotwallow Venom was much stronger, and that was where most of their damage came from. So if they were just targeting allies all the time, and they didn't have to be swapping back and forth between the ally and the boss, I think that would be fine. But right now, from my 5 hours on Spectre, it felt like I had to target the boss to provide some boons, target an ally to provide some boons, and go back and forth, and that felt awful. And there is a key binding for target nearest ally. I needed a key binding for target lowest health ally. Not target the nearest one, because the nearest one was sometimes doing something stupid.
Yeah, you've got to get your keybind for locking
Set personal
a target first. Yeah, the set personal. And so that you have your friend that you always clip to. Generally, I pick my boon support DPS player because it's just, I know they're supposed to be on stack. They're not going to be off doing a mechanic, but they're the one that stand near them because I'm going to give all the alacrity, all of the barrier, all the love. That's my chosen target. But again, it is 2 more buttons you have to have key bound, and that's not the most accessible for everybody.
I think another way that they could make it feel okay, in my opinion, is if there was something similar to mouse over macros. Have any of y'all played MMOs with those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's something like
have.
I'm just against ally targeting because playing WoW, right? You could just hover over an ally on the UI and then it targeted them.
Without changing your
But
main
without
target.
this,
Yeah.
it's like I am not clicking on allies.
So to
Clicking is
clarify,
already.
you're okay with mouse
so-
over, but you don't want to actually target them.
I don't want to target them. Yeah,
Okay.
like mouse over, because you want the target. Like you don't want to swap around your target all the time because that
Yeah,
gets
agree.
really annoying really quick.
Yeah, if you
That's
could just be like, you've got your UI of like the raid interface with the 10 health bars. If you
Yeah.
could just mouse over and just like fire, and like kind of whack-a-mole a little
Yep.
bit faster.
It's
it
literally
would
like
cut
the
number of
WoW
clicks in
gameplay.
half.
The WoW healer gameplay. Just hover over the ally. I don't know where they are, but
It
I'll
was
heal
funny.
them.
I used to use that UI option in WoW as a tank as well. I had a mod on my game that the health bars above the enemies, if they were aggroed on me, they would be colored green. If they aggroed someone else, they'd be colored red. And if I saw any of them turn red, I would just mouse over taunt or mouse over death grip. And dude, I got so many compliments. They're like, that guy looked at me and you pulled him back. This is like,
I was doing the exact same thing. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, that's something like that. That is something they should add if they want to go for like ally targeting skills, because I don't think Guild Wars currently is made for those.
yeah.
It
It's
feels
very much
clunky. It's like, come on, at least don't have different effects based on what you're targeting.
Agree. Like Druid Staff
Like-
and Engineer Medkit can target allies, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can get the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
effect hitting the boss.
Those are great. So you see someone running low health in the distance, you can target them and heal them specifically with staff and stuff too. You don't have to.
Yeah, if Spectre was like that, like we mentioned that you have to target the enemy for some boons and the ally for some boons, I think if they homogenize that somehow and then you could just target one or the other and get the full effect, I think it would feel better.
yeah, definitely make it
100%.
more accessible. And even as someone in chat said, even just if you could actually adjust the UI to rearrange so that those names of the people you were trying to be able to mouse over or target or click were more easy to be seen as opposed to be locking to resolution pixels. That's my hardest part is
But I
I
find
need
it
to
funny.
click on them.
The warrior staff was supposed to have ally targeting, right?
Yeah,
And they
Oh, they
removed
did.
it
Yeah,
immediately.
and
It
that's
was on
such a
Linebreaker.
good thing.
It felt so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's-
And
Felt good
but
to
then
me,
there's
but I was
Spectre.
used to it. It's like Scepter on Herald. Oh, this is comfortable.
I think Muck even didn't use the ally targeting on. Wait, they removed it.
Or, yeah.
I'm lost now.
When I
Scepter.
tried Scepter
Herald,
on Herald, because it was like you use the Scepter 2. It was the Scepter 2 felt to me really bad because you had to target an ally, fire that, which cost energy, and then it was like 7 or 8 seconds later you had to hit the button again to get the full effect. But if you were late
Yeah,
by
Scepter
2
3,
seconds,
yeah.
the button reset. So there was this very narrow window 7 seconds later you had to hit. And I was like, this is dumb. And then I redid like the facets to get my fury from another source. Just like
don't
didn't
use
have to
it.
use
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Solution.
Yeah, it gives you flexibility if you understand it and can use it. Because, like you said, you have to get Fury from your facets as opposed to being open, where you don't have to use it for, or so you don't have to use your facets for Fury because you can get 100% from your Scepter. But what else are we got here?
Just
Any-
stealth your allies instead.
Stealth your allies. Oh, that's still.
I don't play with
That's
Deadeyes.
Druid
Why is there
stealthing
a lot of-
allies. Always good.
Who
It's
even
like
plays
if they're not a
Deadeye?
Deadeye, they're not a real ally. It doesn't count.
I'm helping.
I remember when I learned about that stealth turned people's attacks off. It was when Scrapper first got the ability to give people quickness. and we had to use like all
Oh,
gyros
no.
on the bar to do it, and using stealth gyro, and the whole group's attacks would turn off.
No.
Every pulse, it would turn off all their attacks, and they'd be like screaming at you. Why is our damage all dropping to 0? I don't know. Maybe
It's
Yeah.
like
Druid for the longest time on
Yeah.
on Snowcrows also had like Celestial Shadow, right?
because it gave super speed or something, but none of the
Super
other
Speed
ones
is
were
worth it
useful.
for canceling your allies' autos. It's worth it.
Celestial Shadow. I've been
still
screaming
hate
about
them.
that for
Yeah.
years.
I hate those stealth sources. Yeah.
Yeah, I became editor just to get rid of that trade. Definitely.
Oh, can I give you a bit of feedback as
Yeah.
an editor? As an
Sure.
editor?
Go
So
ahead.
yesterday I was trying to learn Alacrigate, which when I
Umbra
was
is in
learning
chat.
it, when I was learning
Yeah,
it,
Umbra's in
I
chat.
pulled up the Snowcrows and the Guild Gen and the Hardstock guides for it because I was curious how they compared. And by the way, they're all almost identical. It seems like there is definitely a collective agreement on how that class is played. However, the Snowcrows one doesn't say what your CCs are. The others did. The Snowcrows one, I did like Control F. I searched the whole page for CC. I searched for crowd control. I couldn't find anything on there, which eventually I learned it's the weapon skill 5 of either one, or Dark Razor's Daring, or that very weak pull on Demon Stance. I learned
I
that
really hope-
eventually, but it doesn't say it on the Snowcrows website anywhere.
I hope Umbra's hearing this.
Umbra is in
Go
chat,
fix
so
that
he'll hear this.
right now.
Umbra, go fix all the Revenant pages, please.
I haven't looked at the others. I'm just saying that one didn't have a CC section that I could find.
That's a good point. We try to include CCs lately
Yeah.
on multiple builds. Yeah.
I was also literally today like contemplating doing it for Heal Tempest because
Yeah,
people
Druid has
think
CC as
Tempest
well.
has CC.
Because people like
It
me
has a
give
lot.
misinformation to Tempest down.
It's like it doesn't have CC, and it's like it has the same CC as Druid. It's so sad, but it's just like in weird places, of course, right?
Yeah. So I guess a
Right,
better
yeah,
way of saying it
probably
was I
adding
couldn't
it.
find the CC.
Yeah.
As
I
you
mean,
said,
who-
more buttons, more
to
options.
be fair, like who goes into Lightning Hammer to see if they have CC or like?
Yeah, I believe you said I
summons a
needed to equip
conjurer.
a crossbow to find it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like nobody does that.
Umbra doesn't believe in CC. That's DPS's job, right?
No, that's Heal Chrono's job now.
Yeah, you just bring a few Chronos, spam Moa, and everyone else doesn't have to
Fine.
CC.
Exactly.
Ruin of Mesmer, Sigil of Paralyzation, just go wild.
Yep.
The good old.
Any other
Alright.
hot takes on heal builds?
On Heal Scourge.
Go for it, Dan.
Okay, before
But
you
this is
start
the hot
ranting,
take.
Uh-oh.
I love the heal Scourge part. Okay, I agreed with a ton of things, but go ahead.
But
Snowcrows loves it, Mug, but
No,
So-
I shared my personal opinion though, or like personal. You know how I feel about it with Muck already. It's been great.
I think there's quite a few like misconceptions about Heal Scourge. I think they source from how it was before it got a lag, right? Because it was a res bot and it was great at it, right? Res control, great. Wipe prevention, great. Now, though, its resing power is quite mediocre to the point that it has the same res power as a Heal Tempest with only one geyser.
Yeah, the big difference is you can pull people, you can move them.
Yeah,
Well, and
That's
it
the
has
only
passive
advantage.
that no one in the raid bleeds out. So
That's a
it's
good
not
one as
just that you're filling their health bar, but their health bar is not going down. So you're not having
Yeah.
to counter that.
but
might
like,
make up for the difference.
so when like because of course Scourge doesn't like you don't bleed out, but Heals has a res that reses more.
Yeah. Scourge has the
Eventually, right, so-
transfusion res, the don't bleed out thing, the blood well, the other blood
And
well,
then traded blood well.
and
Yeah.
Signet of Undeath.
And that, yeah. So Signet of Undeath, I just compared to like, hey, it's the glyph,
sure.
right? Elliot glyph. And then you have on Ellie Signet of Water. A lot of times people forget that's a small res, but
What is
it's
that?
like really small. Yeah, 5%. See, nobody remembers. But Geyser is a 35% res without like healing modifiers. So it's every percent heal trait and skill of Scourge is the same as that one. Like they
One
absolutely
button.
gutted its res. I think people still think its res is a lot, but like even Heal Tempest can compare it to its resing power. And then there's
well-
Druid, and Druid with its 72% elite glyph resing.
48-second cooldown, by the way.
Yeah, that
There's
one
the spirit
before
of
healing
120.
modifiers, ridiculous.
Okay, we can all
I think
agree
it's
Druid
like-
is kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's Druid.
It's
What
Druid.
else, right?
Yeah.
Well, and again, it depends on who you're playing with and what they're doing. When you're pugging and people are, for some reason, halfway across the map because they think that using a rifle at 1,000 range is the best option instead of being on stack.
They paid for 1,000 range. They're using every yard of it.
But hey, at least I'm not putting them at 1,200 in this example. But again, if you've got people who don't understand, being on stack is where you get your boons, it's where you get your healings, it's where you get your major glyph res of ignore a mechanic, and they're often Narnia or wherever. Well, Scourge feels good. I've got that signet
Yeah.
with a ridiculous range to get that one person up.
And the pull
I've
every
got
like
the ability
12
to pull
seconds.
everybody in, and
I
the
mean, the problem
pull's
is if they're
really short.
that far off stack, they'll just do it again. So I don't see that. It's
Darren
also
is like they're a lost cause. Let them
It's
go.
true.
they're a lost
Just
cause,
let
basically.
them
It's the
Yeah,
same thing with
that's the
not
thing.
bleeding
Like,
out. They're probably taking damage and ticking damage and gonna bleed out whether they have that ticking per second as opposed to just I'm dead in a bad.
I think the big difference is Scourge is on low cooldown. You're resing all the time. You have transfusion like every 10 seconds, and you just press it off cooldown, and you're always pulling. Not always, like every 10 seconds, but you're healing down states every 10 seconds, and you're doing it constantly. That's probably the biggest difference, that you don't have to like actively go and press Gesa or rely on cooldowns. So what if your group is like literally first time Bone Skinner? Tempest is not gonna handle that.
Well, Bone
No, I
Skinner
think, like-
is the example that no one's going to beat Scourge.
yeah, that's like it's how like it's the specific fight where Scourge is good, but then everything else is like
Yeah, you probably
Just
don't
pick a
need
druid.
the rest every 10 seconds.
if someone is off in Narnia and just slowly dying, how
Just
about
heal them.
a CA3 on them, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
Right.
prevent a wipe is always better. But it's just like, Scourge isn't the resing power it used to be, and also its healing is tied to its resing.
The thing is,
Right.
Scourge
So it's-
used to be good at resing, good at barrier, bad at healing, bad at boons. Now it's good boons, good
It's
healing, good
fluid,
barrier,
yeah.
and pretty good revives. I feel like it's
I
exceptional.
mean, it's better than before.
but
definitely.
it's just no stability. That's it. I feel like
100%.
that's the only negative is it has no stability.
What? But Trail of Anguish.
Don't start
Trail
with
of
Gargle.
Anguish is
That
great.
doesn't count.
Yeah,
that's a
no
great
stability.
No realistic on-demand stability.
No, I like.
Yeah. Then
It's-
of course,
it's
there's
healing
one in
being-
chat. It technically does.
It technically does.
Well of power pulses
So,
stab. No, it doesn't. Shut up.
Oh,
No, but it's like resing power being tied to healing also doesn't help. But you're two of the three sources of healing, two of the four sources of healing.
But-
you have.
Usually, I'll say when
are
I play
resing,
Heal
and
Scourge, I
that's-
don't have to use Well of Blood often. So, like, anytime I need to revive a pile of people, the Well of Blood thing is available. Like, Transfusion may be on cooldown for a few more seconds, but I feel like Well of Blood and Signet of Undeath are, like, always ready to go.
true. You probably don't need it, but yeah, it's the Vel is your biggest like burst heal, as far as you can like reach, realistically.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you have two burst heals, and it's well and transfusion.
And
it's
second
like-
Well, if you've got the trait.
Yeah, if you have traded.
Just like you've got the double geyser on Ellie, they've got the double Well.
Yeah, except that a single geyser can outperform the well.
You had big actually energy there.
Actually, no, it's just like they nerfed it. Like they actually gutted how much it rests compared to before, and now it's completely tied to its healing.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to any questions from the audience. Because
hold up. No, you wait.
Oh no. Go ahead.
We have notes. All right, that's no secret. I'm wondering if this is like you don't want to talk about that or you do want to talk about that, because we've been talking about like Muck like playing 20, 30 different builds.
Yeah,
I start to wonder.
That's fine.
Fun fact for you guys: every one of those builds I tested in like the daily strikes, and some of them I took into like some easy raid bosses like Wing Force, stuff like that. The only build of all of them that I couldn't even clear the strikes. Now, granted, this is a me problem, not the build problem. Was Healbrand. I could not wrap my head around all those mucking tomes to get my group through Bone Skinner. And after we wiped on Bone Skinner like 5 times, and it was a pug. It was a pug. But after like 5 wipes, I was like, all right, I'm gonna swap classes. Just wait here. And I just swapped to my Scourge, which I hadn't played in a month, and then we just one-shot it. I was like, great, okay, it's done.
Healbrand was actually the first heal that I tried to do a year ago when I got back into the game, and it was just so tomes. What? It was very overwhelming.
It's 30 buttons. It has 2 weapons, 3 tomes, and the other side of the button's got 30 buttons.
Completely ignore F1. Just do it.
Well, yeah, like you can ignore that. You can technically not. Well, actually, no, you did back then need to swap weapons because you needed to be on staff for the 4 and then go back to Mace Axe, whatever, for other boons. But yeah, that was very overwhelming. And I went like, oh God, this is what healing is. Yeah, I don't know if
I was in the few hours I spent on it, I was not able to get competent enough for Bone Skinner like I was with the others. It was just information overload.
It's information overload, but like there's a lot of them you don't need. Like F1 completely is like, who needs them?
Muck.
It's most no, it's mostly like there's some utility in those tomes, and then like your regen. The problem
Muck.
with a lot of heal brands, but they don't give regen. But
at home.
It's just like tome 2-3, right? Regen uptime.
I have a question.
And that's the one you.
Sorry.
You're the only one.
I'll cut you off.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I need to know. You teased us about that earlier, Muck. I need to know, how do you learn all these builds?
How I learn? Oh my God. I feel like you're gonna get mad.
No. I mean, this is important, right?
Can't wait.
Like you said before, not every build.
Okay. I try to identify with like the noobiest of noobs when I do this, right? So, like for example, if I pull up your website or any website, because I've told you that I use like Hardstock or Guild Gen. Like if I can't find what I'm looking for,
we all have different info.
Right. So I'll pull up one of the websites, but we're talking about Snowcrows. So let's say I pull up Snowcrows. And it's like, use this enrichment. Throw that out. We never use that. All right. I use a free birthday cake. That's it. Moving on. And then it's like, copy this build, copy these stats. And if it's like, use 9 pieces of Berserkers, 1 piece of Diviners, and 1 piece of Dragons, no, we ball. We're going full Berserkers. All right. Like, if it has use 90% of one set and then 10% of another, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a noob that doesn't have a legendary armor. So I'm like, all right, if it's 90% Berserker, we're going full Berserker. But if it's like 90%, if it's like, full Writ, okay, I'll go full Writ, whatever. So I'll get the gear. And then next thing is the opener. If the opener is like a few steps, I'm gonna do it. If it's really complicated, that goes out the window too. And the reason is the longer a fight is, the less the opener matters.
I'm
standing by that. I'll die on that hill.
No, hardcore fighting. So for the beginner builds, we went back and forth about openers for a long time. And we were trying to figure out, because some of them, I agree, 18, 20 steps, that's a little overwhelming. Yeah, but like figure out what the core is. So Condi Hollowsmith, the opener is basically preheat and then jam a bunch of things really quick and overheat. And you can do that, or even Reaper. We got Zargle here, right? The opener is basically all the things that you do all the time to get into your Shroud combo. You're dropping your wells and a few other things. It's just the big damage stuff. But in a fight, you're going to end up going into a split phase. You're going to end up having 20 seconds, and 90% of that opener is going to be off cooldown and be available again. Like, and when I play Sabir, I don't end up getting a chance to even do legend swapping really on Rev. I basically just camp Alliance because it gets DPS down so fast. Everyone's doing their opener or their spread, so you're like waiting, and now you go jump right back in, but you have a 20-second cooldown. I think is the longest.
All right,
right?
so
You get to go back to the opener. The punchline is, or at least the majority.
I get
of
what you're saying. All right, so let me
way.
rephrase because you asked how I did it. All right, in my opinion, if you've got a fight that's this long, all right, and the opener makes up this much of it, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna focus on learning the rotation because that makes up like 95% of the fight. I'm gonna focus on that. So if the opener's simple, I'll do it. If it's 19 steps, it's a little ridiculous. I'm gonna set that aside for right now.
Okay? I agree with the 19 steps
Then
one.
I'll look at the rotation. Now, this is also going to depend on like how people learn, right? If the rotation is like use germinate, burgeon, cultivate 3 times, flourish, oak and cudgel, hunter's call, I'm like, wait. I don't know what any of those are. So I have 2 choices. Either go to the wiki and look up every single like, okay, that one's Mace 2, that one's Warhorn 5, you know? So if it just has all of the abilities by name, that actually is more challenging to pick up. So if I go to, again, using last night as an example, the Alacrigate page on the Snowcrows website had every ability listed by name, and it was like a 20-step rotation. And I was just like, I don't know what any of these are. I'm having to mouse over every icon on my bar and figure out, okay, that's Shortbow 2, that's my 7 key, that's Mace 4, whatever. I had to do that for every single skill. But then on one of the other websites, it was either Hardstock or Guild Gen, I can't recall. One of them just said, when you're in Mace, the priority is like 2, 3, 5. When you're in Shortbow, the priority is 2, 4, 3, 2. And I was like, that's I can digest that, right? And then it said, like, if you're in Kala, use the 8 and 9 every time they're up top priority. Great, I can remember that. And then it was like, if you're in Demon Stance, the moment you go into Demon Stance, use the elite skill before you do anything else, then just go back to weapon skills. For me, that was like a priority system is much easier to learn than memorize this 25 step sequence.
Yeah, that's very valuable feedback, I must say. We've actually tried to do this a lot more, and we push this like thing where we do like key concepts or like boil down rotation and do like priorities like that, because it's much easier for people to grasp and learn. That's definitely correct.
I also like it because, like, if something happens, let's say I get a red circle and I got to run away for a second and then come back, or I mess up and I get knocked down or frozen for a second, and then my rotation's kind of thrown off. If I know a priority system, it's easier for me to get back into it. Like, okay, well, these 4 buttons are lit up, and I know that one's the strongest, and so I know what order to press those buttons in. Talking purely about DPS.
Yeah, well, and I think that's also why, again, I do the beginner series. We've got a few more builds. Hopefully they'll be out next week. But it's breaking some of those important things down, because the raid builds are presented as this is effectively, with like a 1% margin of error, the best that you can possibly do. And that's great. But you're right, in real world scenarios, you need to learn what the priority is at any given moment. If you're doing Dragon Hunter, you learn that doing 4 and 2 and then 2 and 4 and weapon swap, if you just do that, you're going to be breaking 30k easily and have lots of other options available for you, and also using F1 and 7.
I will say, to maybe calm your nerves a little bit, one thing I often tell people in the videos is, like, if you choose to do this after you've mastered this, you can go to this webpage that I've got linked in the description if you're ready to graduate and get your damage up even higher. Like, I make sure to always say that. because again, each of those experience videos that I did, each one was one play session. I spent like one like 3 to 5 hours on each one, and then I moved on to the next one.
Well, it's important because some things are easier to pick up, and that's cool. That's great. Some things you need a little bit more. Again, Condi Hollow is gorgeous, magnificent, but it's daunting when you have 3 kits on your bar. But it's not that bad so long as the APM is okay with you to start with. Okay, I'm going to hit 2. I'm going to hit pistol 2, then I'm going to go grenade 2, flamethrower 2, bomb 2, and then wait for it to go again. Right? And that's a much better starting point that then you can add in. You're going to throw in, obviously, pistol 3, 4, 5, et cetera, grenade 4, 5. You have to learn the differences, but you can start from something simple and have a higher ceiling to work towards. And that's okay. There's also CMEC, where you could swap your grenade kit to throw mine.
Yeah,
And
I'll
it's
say
so
anytime I look up a
simpler.
Condi engineer build and I see flamethrower kit, bomb kit, grenade kit, mortar kit, I'm just like,
Basically, 90%
very, very
points.
reasonable. You can crank out an extra, I forget if it's 2 or 3K from doing Condi Hollow over Condi Mech. And you can actually do it pretty simply once you get the kit mechanic down. It's the same thing with like on Ellie. I don't Ellie a lot. But if you're going and swapping between elements, like you'd be Fire Wizard and be like, hey, look, I'm doing a decent amount of damage, but you can then also work in all 4 elements and really crank that number up. So it's just different accessibility moments.
yeah, I remember when I did. One of the very few Ellie guides I did was when I was doing the low intensity series, which was meant to be noob friendly or people
With
with
Viva?
impairments. And the one I did for Ellie was basically a Tempest that just sat fire and did like 30k.
Yeah, it's fire camp Tempest.
Yeah, that is a
It's
fun of that.
still at 37, I think.
37k benchmark
Yeah,
for camping fire.
For camping fire.
The ultimate roleplay build. Wait, we actually have the benchmark somewhere, right? Haven't
I
Krone done
think-
it?
Krone did it, but it was before TA nerfs.
Oh,
But yeah, that's a build.
fun
I remember
stuff.
some people are like, when are you going to make it a low intensity Weaver? I was like, man, I tried. Just play the Tempest.
Okay, so if you want a low intensity Weaver,
Ooh, hot take. Let's
it's not even a hot take.
Power
Because
or combo?
fire camp Ellie still presses a lot of buttons. Low intensity Weaver is just power Weaver without weave self.
Yep.
That's not a hot take.
Fire air, fire
Power.
air, fire air.
Yeah, it's like Chrono and Weaver both have this. Is that like they're very easy if you don't use weave self and CS. Learn basic rotation, put CS on top of it, put weave self on top of it, and you're golden. Like you can just do the base rotation.
Yeah, we've added this recently to the
low.
Weaver page as well, by the way. I think we have. So there's this thing with Power Weaver, right, where the weave self rotation is like stupidly long and complicated. You go through all the elements. It lasts like 30 seconds.
Had that problem of like, oh, here's 50 steps.
Yeah.
And then here's your second weave 50 steps. It's like the actual rotation is this, and then weave is like, have you got that? You got that. Got it.
But yeah, in reality, I'll show you the page real quick. It was actually Condi Weaver, which is regarded as super difficult build. But in reality, you can just completely skip the weave cell. You just press the weave cell button and then forget about it and do the normal rotation. And you still get like most of the damage out. It just still works perfectly, but suddenly you go from 4 or 5 star difficulty to like 2.
This is such an intimidating webpage. If you don't know,
Yeah, it's intimidating. But
this
then,
is like 3 pages of steps.
Take away the weave self parts, and then you'll see like.
You gotta recognize though, you're gonna have people that are just gonna open this page and go, never mind, and they're just gonna leave.
That's where I come in. Beginner builds. I think we have a beginner.
We added like 2 or 3 notes to the page about it though.
But that's the problem with like Weave Self is like it's a lot of steps, but how do you explain Weave Self properly without them?
That's what we did
like-
there. The yellow thing, like
it's
just swap attunements, do the
interesting.
normal rotation, and then like switch to air once, and you're done.
Like once you understand Weave Self, it's easy. Like you know
Yeah.
what you're trying to accomplish with it
Beginner pistol
and how you
alley.
can accomplish it. But
Yeah,
seeing
pistol
that is
alley.
always like, ah, yes, this is a page.
It is
90%
very-
of the rotation is just weave, and then
It is demotivating.
the other 4 skills on the
Scary.
page are
I must
the
agree.
rotation.
Well, let's start getting to wrap this up. Do we have any
True.
questions, especially for any of our
Let's go,
wonderful
chat.
guests today? Or are we gonna let
Yeah,
Muck
let's-
and me go?
Let's
Yeah, we're
take the
good.
opportunity of having Muck here once in ever. So, shoot questions from chat.
I know one of my guild members asking me, so Muckluck, do you wear Muckluck socks? Apparently that's a brand of socks.
It's a shoe. It's like a boot. So I will say when
Oh,
I
I know
started
that
using the name
story.
Muckluck, the TLDR version of the story is I thought I was making up a word, and I did not know it was already an existing word. And I found out after I had been using Muckluck as like my online alias for years, I found out I was a shoe. I did not know until then, and it was too late. I was too far down the rabbit hole. So yeah, there's a running joke that I should someday make Muckluck brand Mucklucks, which would be shoes with my face on them.
All right, so your first question, Muck. The TLDR on Heal Untamed.
As far as playing it, it was fine. Most of like the on-demand utility wasn't attached to the weapons, so even though you weapon swap constantly, it didn't feel bad. It did more damage than many supports, which is
It
a
does.
weird advantage, but it does have that, so I think it's worth mentioning. And all that damage is around it in a huge area, so it's got like good cleave, if you can call it that, for a healer. But yeah, on some fights I'd be doing like 7 to 10k with a healer, which felt cool. Main downsides: no stability on demand, and the staff ambush specifically, the green crap on the ground covers red circles, and you will find that your teammates stand in stupid stuff more often because you're blinding them. The green fog cloud is also mildly annoying, but isn't as bad as the staff ambush covering red circles, which is the same
Yeah.
as the engineer shortbow 3, I think, with the blue puddles that I mentioned earlier, but the
Yep.
staff ambush, you're simply doing it way more often.
Yeah, like twice every 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Silly question here. What's the purpose of Mirage?
The purpose of
Yeah,
Mirage.
it looks pretty.
I mean,
Let's
a
move
long
on.
time ago, it was 10 mana lack. From
I
what I
hate that
understand
the
these
answer
days, it's a lack, but it's tougher to do than Chrono.
Yeah, I hate that the answer is PvP Mesmer. Like, I want Power Mirage to be a thing so bad. I took it into my guild was doing some strikes, and I was like, "All right, I'll join you if I could play Power Mirage." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
Never mind.
And I was pulling like I could hit 18k. Like, I wasn't griefing, but like I was hitting all the buttons. I was dodging and ambushing, and I was syncing it up.
I will say, just from my own experience of the game, my mental image of a Mirage is a Condi one, not a Power one, just because like they were that for so long. And
That's what they are.
I do see them in PvP pretty frequently. But yeah, in PvE, it just seems like, hey, you want to do Alacrity, but in a tougher way? You should try Mirage.
Yeah, they want to do the same damage as everyone else, but work much harder for it. Go ahead.
Any other last minute questions?
Did you try Heal Harbinger?
No, I was
No.
trying. Okay, here's the thing: the general community only accepts heal builds that provide quickness or
Yeah,
alacrity.
yeah.
So I only focused on healers that provided those things.
I think
Heal
you only
Harbinger, I
played
believe, is
healers that actually
popular-
exist.
Yeah, Heal Harbinger is popular in PvP and World v World. The fact that they're constantly jumping up and down. I hate Harbingers. They're so stupid. The fact that they're Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I was describing Vindicator with that
No,
rant.
because Vindicator.
No, Harbinger is the ones that poops their pants. No, Heal Harbinger does provide quickness. I have never heard of Heal Harbinger.
Yeah, that's good because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I would say
It's
that
a
like
main
even
build.
if it
It's
existed
bad.
in some way that I hadn't heard of, Scourge has the constant barriers. Why would I want the Harbinger over the Scourge, which doesn't have barriers?
Exactly. What are some other heals you actually didn't even play? Oh, right, Heal
Heal
Mirage
Catalyst.
and Heal
There were
Catalyst.
two that I didn't do, which was Mirage and
Catalyst,
Kata, and that's because all of these builds, with rare exception, was me trying them for the first time. Like I didn't even know like what traits to take. Right, I needed a guide of some sort, even if it was outdated, to get me in the right direction. And not on Meta Battle, Snowcrows, Guild Gen, or Hardstuck could I find a Heal Mirage guide. I found one for Heal Kata on Meta Battle from like 3 years ago, and it had one comment that said, "Okay on Doom, anywhere else, no, don't." And I was just like, okay, well, it seems like this is a
Just
pain to play, and no one wants it.
It
I
just
didn't do
has
that.
like no advantage over other things.
I saw that work.
That's the
Yeah,
main
I
thing.
saw that too.
But it does work. It
It
does
didn't
work.
happen.
Somewhat.
I've been doing so good at this the whole time.
I thought you were just trying to like cut the stream because I was ranting about your class.
No. And someone else mentioned Heal Deadeye. Cough.
No.
I
Just
played
don't.
that like
Honestly, during the weeks that
before
I
it
was doing
had
all that
quick.
testing, no one told me that was a thing. So it
It's
never
Of course,
came
not.
up.
that's a thing. Of course.
We don't talk about Heal Deadeye.
We don't talk about
It's got to be better
Deadeye.
than how the Spectre felt. I'll tell you that.
No,
That felt like I hit rock bottom.
no, because you're basically a specter, just without a shroud.
That's right, yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Actually, I'll have to go shortly.
All right. Well, thank you to all our guests, our special guests, Dan, Mukluk, Zargle. It's been wonderful having you all on the
Don't
show.
forget to check out Mukluk at YouTube/Mukluk and Twitch/Mukluk. I don't actually remember the links, but someone probably can find them.
Both of those are wrong.
I fully realize that.
The
Like,
YouTube one he
follow-
said is actually a shoemaker. I couldn't get that URL because there was a guy that's been making old boots for 20 years and he got it.
Oh yeah, it's Mukluk YouTube.
Yes,
Right, yeah,
like,
yeah,
follow, subscribe to Mukluk. He is amazing and wonderful. And
Thank you so much
obviously,
for being
like, follow,
here.
and subscribe to Snowcrows as well.
That was fun. Thank you for the invite.
If you have any feedback, obviously you can find us on the Snowcrows help desk. We are there to answer all your questions and tell you that yes, you are allowed still to use celestial gear. We just don't recommend it.
True that.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.